So could you please stand for the national anthems of the BVI and then the national anthem of St. Kitts Nevis.
God save our gracious Queen, long live our noble Queen. God save our Queen, send her victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save our Queen.
National anthem of St. Kitts Nevis.
O land of beauty, our country where peace abounds, thy children stand free on the strength of will and love, with God in all our struggles. St. Kitts and Nevis be a nation bound together with a common destiny.
Thank you. Remain standing as now we have the objects of N.A.P.S.
The objects of N.A.P.S. is to create and foster awareness of benevolence and progressive alliance among all Nevisians living in the British Virgin Islands, whereby they resolve to contribute willingly and objectively to the overall development of the BVI society, and by extension Nevis, by the provision of welfare assistance to public institutions existing in the BVI and Nevis, and also by providing facilities for social interaction and recreation by way of monies received on account of fees, subscriptions, fines, donations, other legitimate revenue generating activities.
And before we take our seats, we just ask God's blessing upon these proceedings.
Good night, everyone. Could you bow your heads with me, please? Eternal and most gracious God and our Father, we give you praise and thanks for having spared our lives. We thank you for your mercies that are new to us every day. As we gather here tonight to celebrate 10 years of N.A.P.S. existence in the BVI, we ask your blessings upon the proceedings of tonight. We ask that you come among us, you take control. We ask that everything be done in decency and in order, because, Lord God, you are the one who gave us the will and the strength to continue to do what we do. So therefore we know we couldn't do it without you. It's because of your grace and your mercy that we are still here, that we are still a body that is bound together, that does what we do, It's because of your love and your grace. We give you thanks. We ask your blessings upon the honorees on tonight, upon the establishment and staff of this place, of this facility. We ask your blessings. And even now, Lord God, we ask your blessings upon the food that will be received later on. We ask that you bless it to the nourishment of our bodies. We even ask that you bless those that had prepared it. And all of these things we ask in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let me just introduce our Master of Ceremonies this evening. And as we pause for this moment, as we see one of our honorees coming in, give Mr. Skeet a round of applause, please. And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you this evening our Master of Ceremonies, who does not need any introduction to Bivy Islanders or Nevisians, as a matter of fact, because he has close ties with both Nevisians and also he knows the BVI inside out. Please help me welcome Mr. Robert McTavish, the guru of the financial services.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this, the 10th anniversary Gala of N.A.P.S. You might ask yourself, why have I been asked to be the MC after all? After all, most of you are saying, what's Mr. Matthias's connection with Nevis? Well, let me give you a little story. That a long time ago, Ishmael Hodge, who I know is here, and myself, had decided that we would discover the Caribbean before we discover America. And one of the things we set about doing was seeing the islands. We went to St. Kitts, took a boat ride across to Nevis, a very interesting boat ride on a boat called the Limiga, arrived very early in the morning, before everyone was up, went on a walk, got into a village, Bath Village, and were shocked to see the commotion, people getting up, going down in the river to get a bath, etc. Little did I know years later, the very house we stayed outside would turn out to be the house of the aunt of Anthony Lewis, and that he himself was from that village which started off. But fast spacing it to a few years later, when St. Kitts Nevis were going to be independent, and perhaps realizing that this was going to be the last of the Caribbean countries that were going to be independent, and that I don't know when the BVI would be independent if it happened in my life, so I had to go and claim part of the independence. So where did I go? Where did I stay? In the island of Nevis. So I came part of Nevis. But to me, there's so much similarities between the island of Nevis and the BVI. God-loving people, quiet people, people who know the value of the land, safeguarding it, building a home, people who can cook, people who like to eat, and we share a number of things. So I think N.A.P.S should be congratulated for building a bridge between the British Virgin Islands and the Nevis. And I think the presence of so many here this evening is testimony to the success of that bridge that N.A.P.S has built. But you didn't come here to hear me talk, so forth. But I think it is only right for me to acknowledge the presence of a number of people here today. We have with us people from Nevis, all the Nevisians in the house. We have some who have traveled from the U.S. Virgin Islands. We have, of course, BVI Landers. But we also have with us members of the House of Assembly of the British Virgin Islands. I'm just going to ask you, honorable members, to please stand so you can be recognized. I'm not going to call your name. Members of the House of Assembly, please stand. And we have former legislators on both sides of Pillsbury Sound. We have former legislators from the BVI and former legislators with Nevis connection in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Will you also please stand? Thank you, thank you. And now, it's my pleasure and my privilege to introduce the people who have gathered us here today, the honorees. And could I first ask Mr. Skid to stand, and Mr. Skid to just wave and acknowledge Mr. Skid and Mrs. Skid. Also at the head table, the Honorable Ralph T. O'Neill and Mrs. O'Neill. Representing one of our honorees, the Simeon Daniel, the Honorable Dr. Simeon Daniel, is his son and his beautiful wife. Could you please recognize? We have our Deputy Governor, Ines Archibald and Dr. Archibald. We have representing the Honorable Premier of Nevis is the Honorable Dwight Cozier, the Minister of Industry, and also a distinguished author, writer in his own right. He's a lawyer who's written a book on financial services. So Dr. Cozier, the Honorable Cozier. We have the President of N.A.P.S, Della, or Della Malone. We have a man who had the distinction of being a mentor of mine when I went to University of the West Indies way back in the 70s. So one who took this little green boy and guided. Someone I have immense admiration for, and I'm pleased to say, an excellent cricketer, should have been the West Indies opening batsman years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Vance Amory. And sitting next to Vance is a man who you hear a lot about. You can't go to St. Kitts Nevis without hearing something about this man. Whether it is that his house is on, not only on Facebook, but his house made some international thing years ago, to his eloquence in the House of Parliament, to just, let's say, the one, the only leader of the opposition in St. Kitts Nevis, Mr. Mark Grantley, our keynote speaker for tonight. So you see that they've gathered us for a power-packed evening. You're going to hear from some very, very interesting speakers. And so let's sit back, tighten up our belts, buckle up our seats, and we're going to be in store for something very, very good. We'll start with remarks by the Honorable Dwight Cozier, Minister of Trade and Industry, on behalf of the Honorable Joseph Parry, Premier of Nevis. And I say, I had the privilege of meeting Mr. Cozier over a year ago. And Mr. Cozier, welcome to the BVI.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Mr. Chairman, Master of Ceremonies, kindly allow me to adopt the protocol that you have so ably established here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I speak to you this evening on behalf of the Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Joseph Walcott Parry, who has not been able to be here. He's not been able to attend this auspicious gala due to a last-minute engagement that forced him elsewhere in attendance of some extremely important business on behalf of the people of Nevis. So in asking me to speak on his behalf, the Honorable Premier has expressed to me and has asked me to express his deep desire to have been here this evening and his regrets for not being able to attend this occasion, honoring the first amongst us as N.A.P.S, the Nevis Alliance, and Progressive Society of the BVI sees it. In expressing brief congratulatory remarks for tonight's honorees, let me first kindly recognize N.A.P.S for their thoughtfulness in organizing this auspicious occasion in honor of the very first among us. I had the pleasure and opportunity of meeting one of the very hard-working members of N.A.P.S BVI in Nevis when Miss Yolande de Castro attended my office and told me about the events some weeks ago. I want to say that I was impressed by her zeal, I was impressed by her earnestness, and tonight I want to ask you to join me in giving a round of applause in congratulation of N.A.P.S for this auspicious occasion. And I think what N.A.P.S has been effective in doing is bridging the gap and bringing both the BVI community and the Nevis community together in recognition of our mutual commonalities. Ladies and gentlemen, I now turn to tonight's honorees. First, let me say that I was pleasantly surprised this evening as I was seated at the head table and made the acquaintance of the present president of N.A.P.S. I say I was pleasantly surprised because I learned that she is a very close relative of mine. And so I have to mention that, because what I'm going to say now is also going to surprise you pleasantly, in that the first president of N.A.P.S, Mr. Theodore Skeet, is also a very close relative of mine. And so I discovered Miss Prentice as a relative on my maternal side, and Mr. Theodore Skeet I knew to be a relative on my paternal side. I can now say that I have been endowed with the honor of embracing BVI and Nevis community both by virtue of the achievements of my family here. Mr. Theodore Jill Skeet, as we lovingly call him, is not only a family of mine, but he's also a very dear friend of the Honorable Joseph Walcott Parry, Premier of Nevis. So when I speak in honor of Mr. Skeet tonight, I want to congratulate and salute him with guarded conservatism. And I want to say, with the said guarded and conservatism, that as a founder and first president of this very tactful and august organization, Mr. Skeet has proven himself to be a colossus amongst us. Mr. Skeet has proven himself to be a uniter of the peoples of the Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands, and the people of Nevis. For this, Mr. Skeet should be commended, and I invite you to give Mr. Skeet a standing ovation for his accomplishments. So, in crediting Mr. Theodore Skeet for being a uniter both of Nevisian societies in the BVI and of Nevis and BVI society in general, I want to address the importance of such a role in a society such as ours, which today, given the divisiveness, the bitterness, and the rancor that we sometimes experience and encounter in our efforts as Caribbean people to advance ourselves culturally, socially, economically, and politically, we must recognize the importance of people like Mr. Theodore Skeet. Mr. Skeet, some 10 years ago, had the vision and the boldness to step up to the plate and step up to the batting wicket as the first presidents of N.A.P.S. Mr. Skeet today must be looked at by both Nevisian and the BVI society as a person that straddles both Nevis and BVI as the colossus described by Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. Ladies and gentlemen, secondly, I want to turn my attention to a very lovely lady that I met for the first time this evening. This person is none other than your very own, the Honorable Inez V. Archibald, first female speaker of the BVI Legislative Council. Ms. Inez, I want to say to you, on behalf of the people and on behalf of the Premier and people of Nevis, that in an age when women were expected to take the back seat of the bus, both physically and figuratively, in business, in politics, and in general, you have risen, you have chosen to rise to lead your people as the first in your field, as the first president of the, and female president and speaker. We call our speaker back home president. So the first speaker of the British Virgin Islands Legislative Council. I say to you, madam, that all those who have seen this example will witness that it is an example set, or that your example set as the first speaker of the Legislative Council of the BVI sets an example and makes the world more easy, so that personalities and women like Aung San Suu Kyi of the former Burma, Hillary Clinton of the United States, and I dare say even Michelle Obama, President of the United States, so much easier for them to rise to those roles. And so, on behalf, therefore, of the Premier and people of Nevis, I want to salute you and congratulate you tonight at this auspicious occasion. I invite you all to give Thank you. I turn now to Mr. Ralph O'Neill, and I say congratulations, Mr. O'Neill, for providing that critical foundation upon which BVI society, both economically and politically, could have put its roots. The strong foundation you have provided is responsible for the economic boon that the BVI has experienced over the years. The foundation you have laid, sir, transcends mere party politics on both sides of the political divide, and have caused your image to appear as Shakespeare's description of Julius Caesar to be a colossus, relegating those who endeavor to play petty political games as mere pygmies lurking at your heels. Tonight, I salute and congratulate you on behalf of the Premier and the people of Nevis for being the first to straddle the premiership of the BVI. And I invite you to give Mr. O'Neill, Honorable O'Neill, a standing round of applause, please. I now turn to the Honorable First Premier of Nevis, who is represented here by my young friend Adrian, his son. And I say to you, Adrian, and I hope that the Honorable Dr. Simeon Daniel can hear the echo of these words, although he's not here tonight. And when he does, I would like him to hear that, not dissimilar to the former Premier of the BVI, the Honorable Ralph O'Neill, that he, Dr. Simeon Daniel, has straddled the affairs of the island of Nevis like Shakespeare's Colossus. And that it is as a result of the foundation, that he has laid as Premier of Nevis, together with the hard-working stalwarts of the Nevis Reformation Party, that he has built the foundation upon which peace, progress, and prosperity in the island of Nevis today rest. It is because of this foundation that Nevis today, under the leadership of the Honorable Joseph Walcott Parry, can boast of many firsts. Nevis can boast of the first, as you all probably are aware already, of the first 5-star Four Seasons hotel in this part of the world that has become ranked as the #1 in the Western Hemisphere for a luxury hotel destination in this part of the world, in this part of the Caribbean. Nevis, under the Nevis Reformation Party-led government and the leadership of the Honorable Joseph Parry, can boast of being the first to address the energy concerns of our small community. And in this regard, sometime in 2010, Nevis was the first to commission the first wind farm generating plant, now generating some 1.6 to 2.2 megawatts of power into the Nevis grid. Nevis, upon the foundation built by Dr. Simeon Daniel, can boast as the first to have established, and we are in the process of doing this, a state-of-the-art performing arts theater on the island of Nevis, which has been placed there to the tune of some $15 million and will be commissioned next Saturday, 28 April 2012, as another first. Ladies and gentlemen, not only has Nevis captured many firsts that we can boast of as past tense. But just recently, I am proud to announce to the people of Nevis here and the people of the British Virgin Islands that the Premier of Nevis received news that again Nevis is slated to be the first under the Nevis Reformation Party government to receive two, not one, but two luxury resort hotels on the Pinnis Estate area, one being a Six Senses hotel, the other being a Taj Mahal hotel on the 600 acres of land that was purchased some time ago by the former CCM government. Ladies and gentlemen, both of these institutions, not one, but two 5-6-star hotels are slated to break ground before the end of this year. I want to say to you that it is as a result of the foundation laid by the Honorable Dr. Simeon Daniel. It is as a result of the foundation laid by men and women like the Honorable Ralph T. O'Neill and the Honorable Inez V. Archibald that such progress, both economically and socially, is possible in these little islands of ours. I want to therefore end by recommending to us that we look beyond petty partisan politics, that we look beyond the little things that sometimes in their triviality occupy our minds, and that we address the issues, the real issues that are before us. And those issues, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, are the issues of our cultural, economic, and political cohesion as a people. And so I want us to remember those words as we move forward into celebrating and honoring our guests before us tonight. I want us, therefore, to put our hands together once more in recognition of all of our honorees and the Nevis Alliance and Progressive Society for its thoughtfulness in honoring them. I thank you.
As I said earlier, to ask the Honorable Vance Amory to come to the podium and give his remarks.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies. Deputy Governor, Mrs. Inez Archibald and her husband, Dr. Archibald. Premier, Dr. Orlando Smith. Former Premier, Mr. Ralph O'Neill. Members of the assemblies of the British and U.S. Virgin Islands, Minister Cozier, the Honorable Mark Grantley, Leader of the Opposition in St. Kitts and Nevis, other honorees, especially Dr. Daniel, who is not here but represented by his son, and my very good friend, and clearly a man of immense energy and will, power, Mr. Theodore Skeet, the founder of this very distinguished body. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the President and the members of N.A.P.S for inviting me to be part of this gala occasion and celebrating their 10th anniversary. I look back over the 10 years and remember that I was here for the inaugural celebration when they launched themselves as that organization which would do as their mission states, bridge the gap between Nevis and the BVI and the people of those two communities. But tonight, as we are celebrating the 10th anniversary, and they have chosen to honor 4 outstanding persons for their excellent and distinguished lives among the people of Nevis and the people of the British Virgin Islands, I want to join with the President and members of N.A.P.S to offer my congratulations to the 4 honorees who justly deserve to be honored in this way. I believe they have distinguished themselves, as you will see from their bios, in service to their community and to humanity generally. And I think the key word there is in service, because generally we do not look at service, we look at authority. But I want us to remember these 4 outstanding persons as servants of the people in their own way. And while I offer my congratulations, there is a well-known famous quotation which comes to mind. And all of us, I think, know this quotation and may even have used it at some time in our lives. And it is this: some are born great, some achieve greatness, some have greatness thrust upon them. And out of those 3 categories of persons who are looked at as having in some way greatness attached to themselves, I want to suggest to us that the 4 honorees are in the second category, that they have achieved greatness. They were not born great. They were not born of high estate, at least not to my knowledge, and I think I do have some knowledge having looked at their bios and so on. But I do know that they have, by dint of hard work, by seeking to educate themselves and to develop their mental capacities and to seize the opportunities which life has thrown at them to serve their communities and their fellow men, that they have achieved greatness. And tonight they are being honored for having done those things to lift up their fellow men and women in the communities which they serve. This, I think, is the epitome of greatness, when one can serve and lift his or her fellow men and women to greatness and to give them new direction and hope. One of the important things is when you look at each one of the honorees, in his own way, or in the case of the deputy governor, in her own way, they have chosen to provide by their example, by their hard work, a new direction for the people of the community. They have shown by their example that anything that one can think of and would like to achieve is possible, but one has to apply him or herself to it. And I think in their cases, certainly that is so. I have been reminded of what I believe is one of the favorite quotes of the Honorable Dr. Simeon Daniel. And from his bio, you will see that here was a man who was very erudite, extremely well educated, but he had a famous quote, and it is this. Again, I think all of us know this. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime and departing leave behind us footprints in the sand of time. And I believe that he lived by that edict. And I think also I can safely say that the other honorees have lived by that edict as well. But I'll go further and say they have not just left their footprints in the sand of time. They have indelibly etched their footprints, their influence in the hearts and minds of the people whom they served, whom they chose to serve, and whom they chose to lift up and to give that new direction and that new hope about which I spoke. When we look at the Honorable Ralph O'Neill, look at his service to this country, a man of indomitable spirit, a man of physical strength, now a little less mobile than years gone by, but still agile in his mind. And those of us who understand human behavior will know that it is the mind that is the key to human development. You look at the Honorable Dr. Simeon Daniel, a man with whom I worked for some years. He had a great love and still has a great love of his country. And when you read the end of his bio, he has one mission which he thinks is yet unfulfilled. And that is for his beloved Nevis to become an independent country. Now, will it be in his lifetime? I don't know. God knows. But what is important is that he chose, rather than to exist under the blanket as a solicitor in St. Kitts, he chose to return to Nevis in 1966 to start his thrust for his own personal development, but also using his abilities to serve the people of Nevis. The Honorable Inez Archibald, a lady of great grace and poise and distinction. You know, I think she's a standout among women of the BVI. A standout among the women of the BVI. So I've met her on a few occasions, and I'm always impressed by the way she carries herself. That poise, that grace, which speaks so much to the way she believes in the preeminence of women. Because sometimes not all women believe in the preeminence of women, but I think she does. And we want to commend her and commend all women whom she has shown by her example that women can be great in the communities. I look at Mr. Theodore Skeet. And to begin to speak of Theodore would take me a long time. So I will just say, Mr. Skeet is a unique person. A man who has immense intellectual capacity. And sometimes tempestuous. We've had our little battles. I don't think I ever won one against him. But that is the nature of the man. But one thing he knew is where he wanted to go. He always had a clear vision and a clear mission of his life. And I want to commend him for the vision he had to start this organization. Because tonight we are here in this setting, and all of you are looking so immaculate. And I want you to give yourselves a round of applause because you look great. All of you. And I think it is tribute to Mr. Theodore Skeet that we are here tonight celebrating this 10th anniversary. Now, we have to also say that each one of these persons in his own way has made a very great impact on so many lives. And I know Mr. Skeet, for one, as a teacher in Nevis, Mr. Daniel, Mr. O'Neill, and so on as I've gone down. But what I want us to reflect on is this. When we are looking at greatness and when we are seeking to honor persons, it matters not from whence the person came. It matters only, in my opinion, that the person has lived a life in helping those others around them to grow. And if one can achieve that and contribute to the common good, then that person is, in my estimation, a person of great worth, a person of greatness. And I want to say to the President and the members of N.A.P.S, great congratulations to you for this evening's event. I think you have outdone yourself, and I'll say this. One of them said to me, "You're going to be proud of your Nevis people tonight." And I tell you, I feel proud of our Nevis people. They have done beautifully. And I do believe in seeking to honor these four distinguished persons. You have done a great service, not just to them, but a service to yourself and a service to all of humanity. Because we ought to be able to honor persons when they deserve to be honored. And so tonight I thank you for being here. I feel honored. I feel humbled to have been asked to celebrate with you. And I do say that we are among friends here, and I feel welcome. And I want to say to the people of the BVI, continue to embrace our people as we embrace you. May God bless you, and thank you so much for the attention.
Thank you very much, Hans. And now, the last of our remarks before your dinner. I'm calling on the Honorable Premier of the British Virgin Islands, Dr. D. Orlando Smith, to come and make his remarks. Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. I'd like to say a pleasant good evening to all who gathered here tonight. First, I'd like to recognize the Honorable Deputy Governor, Mrs. Agnes Archibald and Dr. Archibald, the Leader of the Opposition of the BVI, Honorable R.T. O'Neill and Mrs. O'Neill, and the Honorable member who's represented the Premier of Nevis, Honorable Kozia, sorry, I forgot the name, and also the Honorable Vance Amory, the Opposition Leader of Nevis. First of all, I want to apologize for my delay in getting here. I had a small occasion before I was to come here this evening, but then when I got to the vehicle to bring me from this quite remote part of the island, the battery had gone down. And I was unable to leave. But fortunately, after a little while, someone was passing by and gave me a lift. I was able to get here. I must say that the vehicle which I drive, or which I'm driven in, was one which we decided to keep because of the austerity program which is now going on in the British Virgin Islands. And but if it continues to let me down like that, I'll have to have second thoughts. I'd now like to congratulate the Nevis Progressive Alliance for their 10th anniversary. I have tried very hard to be at most of the functions to which I've been invited because I recognize the contribution which our brethren from Nevis has made to the socio-economic development of the British Virgin Islands. When I say socio-economic development of the British Virgin Islands, I mean that those persons who have come here from Nevis have come here not simply for opportunities to advance themselves, but have become engrossed in the BVI culture, economy of the British Virgin Islands, and have contributed a lot towards the economic development and also cultural development. One of the persons who have been honored tonight, Mr. Theodore Kidd, emphasizes, encapsulates most of those things. For example, Mrs. Kidd came here, but at first he was a teacher, and I understand, even though I did not know him well as a teacher, I understand that he was an excellent teacher and took great pride in what he did, and was very, very concerned with the fact that the students are getting good education. I also understand if teachers, if students would miss school, Mr. Skid would find himself to the parents of those teachers, of those students, to let them know what the problem was and encourage them to send their children to school. That is something which I think was very admirable, and we showed the dedication that Mr. Skid had to his profession. He carried that dedication on to other areas when he became an economist and was in the development unit of the British Virgin Islands. In that unit, he did very good work. But what we remember most is his discourse, his discussions, his arguments with whoever he met, where he had the opportunity to have a discussion with, putting forward his ideas of where the BVI should be going at that time. His ideas were very well taken, and I'm sure many of them are implemented. But what he showed was a great determination, a great interest in his home country, the British Virgin Islands. Apart from his interest in social development, he was also interested culturally. And I know he was interested, he was one of the captains of a cricket team, of the Cricket League. And there again, he made his impact. I know that BVI Islanders do not play cricket as much as they used to. And certainly those who carry on the sport now are persons among us who have made a home among us from Nevis, St. Kitts, and other islands. By the time he was there, he was the one who helped to keep that sport alive and to progress it. I myself played cricket during the time he was there. I was not a very good cricketer, but I was a leader or captain of a team which came second in the league. So even though I was not a good batsman, I think was a good leader. There are other people in the British Virgin Islands from Nevis who have also contributed economically and socially. And I want to, before I carry on to discuss, to talk about the other persons who have been honored here tonight, I want to talk about a few others. I want to talk, for example, about Mr. Merritt Herbert. Mr. Herbert, who came here as a young man, became involved in this country. And one of the things in business, and he's made a good living, he's made a name for himself as a businessman in this country. But one of the things that really stands out in the minds of people is the fact of his ownership of ZBVI, the radio station. And the fact, which he will stand out even more, is that during the times of trouble, he insists on staying with the radio station and keeping BVI Islanders informed of what is going on, particularly during hurricanes. It reminds you of the captain of the ship, staying with the ship until it goes down. Just recently, Mr. Herbert came to see me, just a few days, as a matter of fact, to say that while he continues to provide that service, he's now becoming more concerned as he grows older of the fact that the radio station is in a place which could possibly be swamped by waves, so if in a case of a hurricane and he wishes to move. But that just told me that he is still very much interested, very concerned about the safety of the people of the British Virgin Islands and wishes to continue what he's doing to contribute to that. Speaking about Mr. Honorable Simeon Daniel, I want to also congratulate him for his leadership of Nevis during the years that he's been, and also to recognize that he had, of course, the good of all the people of Nevis and St. Kitts at heart. I also wish to tell him, his son is here, that I was at his celebration of his victory when he became the first Premier of Nevis many years ago. I was visiting Nevis, spent a week there, and I was on the streets of the night celebrating that election and him becoming first Premier. So I have a little history, and I wish to congratulate him on what he's done for Nevis. As far as Mrs. Archibald goes, Mrs. Archibald, the Honorable Deputy Governor of this country, has been a schoolmate of mine. We grew up together. She was in the western part of the country where some of my parents, well, my father's relatives came from, but we went to high school together. And she always struck me as being someone who was dedicated to the work and determined to succeed. And when we became, well, my party won the government in 2003, and we were looking for a Speaker for the House, we could think of nobody better for that position than Mrs. Archibald. And I must say that during the time she was Speaker, she did a lot for the House of the House of Assembly of the British Virgin Islands. She brought a lot of dignity to the position, and really her influence on what happened during the course of those 4 years was really outstanding. I want to congratulate her because, again, she demonstrated what a dedicated person could do for their home country. Needless to say, as you've heard, she has now been recognized as the First Lady to be the Speaker of the House of the British Virgin Islands. But I must say that when we were considering her, we were not thinking about whether she was a man or woman, but just considering her abilities. And I must say she did fulfill the requirements. The Honorable R.T. O'Neill has served this country exceedingly well for the past 30 years. And I know particularly the people in Gala have been very grateful for how he's represented them even before he was in politics. And I want to congratulate him again for being honored here tonight as the first Premier of the British Virgin Islands. He was, of course, a member of the team who had the discussions with the British government about the advancement of our constitution in 2006. And as a result of the election which happened shortly after that, he then became the first Premier. And I want to congratulate him for achieving that. And the work that he's done in the past 4 years. I want to also reassure him and everybody gathered here tonight that as the second Premier and now only Chief Minister of the British Virgin Islands, I will continue to work as hard as I can to make sure that the BVI continues to grow economically and socially. There is quite a lot of serious challenges ahead of us because of the present economic situation in the world. But they say when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And as an incoming government, we made some serious commitments to the development of this country. We made some serious commitments to change in the way we manage our finances and some commitments to developing this economy. So I know that the people of Nevis have contributed immensely to the economy in the past, and I expect them to continue to contribute during this next 4 years as we strive to bring the economy back to where it was and to even carry it further than that. So to the Nevis Progressive Alliance, I want to say thanks again for inviting me, and I look forward to coming to this function every year to congratulate you further on to what the Nevisians are continuing to do in the BVI. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Smith. The first person to be honored will be the Honorable Ralph T. O'Neill, the first Premier of the BVI. And Mr. O'Neill will be introduced by Miss Yolanda De Castro. Miss De Castro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to follow the protocol already established. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to introduce to you our first honoree for the evening, the Honorable Ralph T. O'Neill. Honorable Ralph T. O'Neill was a very close friend to my belated father, the late Carlton De Castro, so I am deeply humbled to read this biography. Mr. Ralph Telford O'Neill, the ninth of the children, was born in the beautiful island of Virgin Gorda and received his early education at St. Mary's Anglican Elementary School in Virgin Gorda and the St. Kitts Nevis Grammar School. And I must interject that my father was the one that took him to St. Kitts. He entered the teaching service and taught at the Eastern Elementary School, then Rotong Elementary School, and in 1953 was appointed head teacher of the North Sound Elementary School, where he distinguished himself by getting the first passes in the 7th Standard Examination, as it was called then. In 1956, Mr. O'Neill entered the civil service and worked as clerk of the Legislative Council and a junior administrative officer. He holds many firsts in the territory. During his civil service career, he was appointed the first telecommunications officer and the first labor commissioner, and then as senior officer in the embryonic Ministry of Trade and Production. He served as clerk of the Executive Council and then did a year as administrative secretary, special duties. He has acted as treasurer, worked as chief education officer, served as secretary to the government and secretary to the administrator, now known as deputy governor. Mr. O'Neill attended a 2-month course at the University of the West Indies and later attended Trinity College, Oxford University in England. He holds the diploma in government and political science and a diploma in economic development. In the latter, he specialized in the study of the development of small countries, gaining distinction in both. In 1969, he left the civil service and started his own business. He is the managing director of Ralph O'Neill Business Services Limited, Wickham Ski Service Station Limited, O'Neill Gases Limited, and Chris Neal Limited. Mr. O'Neill ran for a seat in the Legislative Council as a representative for the then 7th District in 1971, but was unsuccessful. He was successful from 1975. In 1979, Anegada was placed with Virgin Gorda and became the 9th District, and again, Mr. O'Neill stood for the 9th District and won, a seat he has retained ever since. He was the first Minister of Social Services, Social Security and Labor Social Security and Labor were two of the many subjects included in his portfolio. He served as Minister of Natural Resources and Labor, Minister of Health and Welfare, Minister of Education and Culture. He was appointed Deputy Chief Minister in 1988. In 1995, Mr. O'Neill was elevated to the post of Chief Minister of the British Virgin Islands. He held this post until June 2003, a total of 8 years. In addition to his duties as Chief Minister and Minister of Finance, Mr. O'Neill was also Chairman of the Board of Governors of the H. Lavity Stout Community College from 1993 to 2003. During his term as Chief Minister, Mr. O'Neill led the territory in celebration of 50 years of restoration of the Legislative Council and this was an event of great historic importance, especially to the younger generations who had only heard of Faulkner, my cousin, Penn, Fonseca, and Bruce, Andy Castro, my father. Men who had been deeply involved in the struggle for the restoration of the Legislative Council. The financial services of the territory grew steadily under his good leadership, and the territory became one of the leading financial centers in the Caribbean. The port was enlarged to accommodate cruise ships, which have contributed enormously to the economy of the country. The road network on all 4 major islands was significantly increased, making transportation much easier. The airfield on Anegada was developed and an international airport was opened. A new terminal building at the Beef Island Airport, now named the Terrence B. Letsam International Airport, was opened on March 2002. Visitors to Virgin Gorda over the years that has been represented the island since 1975 has been in their praise and have been impressed with the changes for the better and the improvement of living standards of the people and the quality of the life they now enjoy. A high school was established on the island, making it unnecessary for children to commute to Tortola. An administrative complex was developed, and many of the government departments now have branches on the island. In 2007, he was appointed the first Premier of the British Virgin Islands and was able to lead the country successfully through the severe world recession. Not one civil servant had been laid off and no salaries cut during this period. In fact, civil servants were able to receive their increments as long as they performed satisfactorily in their duties each year. He is a founding member of the Rotary Club of Tortola, which was established in the territory in 1968. He served as president for 2 years and is now a Paul Harris Fellow, the highest honor in the club. He was the first director of the BVI branch of the British Red Cross Society and served in that capacity for 15 years. He has been associated with Kids and the Sea program ever since it was started in the BVI over some 21 years ago, and is a keen supporter of programs for youth improvement. He served on many government boards and committees, chairman of the Tourist Board, chairman of Hotel and Commerce Association, chairman of the Justices of Her Majesty's Prison. A fond lover of cricket, he represented the BVI on the island team on many occasions and served as president of the BVI Cricket Association for 17 years. He was also a member of the Fiscal Review Committee and secretary to the development, to name a few. In 1975, he was awarded the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, OBE, for his service to the community. He is Justice of the Peace, a Commissioner for Oaths, and a Notary Public. He also received a number of other honors from organizations and churches, namely the National Parks Trust, the BVI Farmers Association, Rotary Club of Tortola, the Lions Club of Tortola, the Anegada Progressive League of New York, the Citizens of Virgin Gorda, the Methodist Church, Zion Hill Congregation, Miss Esseline Potter, Citizens of Anegada, St. Mary's Episcopal Church, the New Life Baptist Church, North Sound Methodist Congregation, and the Fishermen Cooperative of Virgin Gorda, and tonight, the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society. Mr. O'Neill is married to the former Idris Christopher, now Reverend Idris O'Neill, and is the father of 4 grown children. Mr. O'Neill is also a member of the Methodist Church, a member of the Men's Fellowship, and a former choir member and lay preacher. He has a deep and abiding faith in Christ, and his wife of over 30 years, Miss Idris O'Neill, stands side by side with him in his career as a politician. She shares with him in his concerns, his frustrations, and his success, and encourages and assists him in whatever way she could. They always draw strength from each other and have enriched the lives of each other to a very great extent. Their abiding faith in love of God has been the source of their success and the bedrock on which their lives are built. Their home is open to one and all, and they are often called upon early in the morning or late at night to listen to someone's problem or concern. Tonight, please stand with me as we honor Honorable Ralph Telford O'Neill. Honors Honorable Ralph T. O'Neill, being the first Premier of the British Virgin Islands, 2007 to 2011.
Mr. Chairman, I beg your permission to deliver my remarks, and I hope you will grant the request.
Granted.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, officers and members of the Nevis Christian Society, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Tortola, and I do have one or two people to make mention of. Their wife, next to me, and two of my daughters, one of the husband, and a very old-time friend who said that she and her husband must come up to Tortola to see what it is the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society is doing with you. Mrs. Olive Francis and her husband, and I would like them to stand to got a telephone call from one of my stupid old students in Virgin Gala. And he saw irritated. I asked him what happened. He said, well, I heard your name on the radio about something in Nevis society. What is happening? So I told him. He said, oh, that is all right. You can go ahead with that. So I got a permission from my people to go ahead and take the ceremony. First of all, I would like to praise the Almighty God making it possible for me to be here I believe that you sincerely believe what you have decided to do. And I want to thank Nevis Alliance Progressive Society for selecting me as one of the 4 first in the BVI. But I hope that there are many British Virgin Islanders who have made first in other fields, both male and commenting Nevis. You know, Nevis is just a little smaller than the BVI. The geographers tell us that they're 50 square miles. Nevis is 50 square miles. And BVI is sometimes 57, sometimes 52, sometimes 58. This is correct. But what we know is that they're small. But smallness has not prevented Nevis from succeeding in a lot of things. Let's take, for example, cream. Nevis produced the first West Indian division to be on the West Indies team, winner. And then Nevis had a team. Little hops, they can see all kinds of trouble because they really want time. On Monday, I attended a ceremony for the Honorable Chief Justice Sir Hugh Raleigh, who is leaving at the end of July. I was glad to be included in the panel that selected him to be Chief Justice of the Virgin and Nevis Islands. And so I worked with him in the OECS twice a year. But Mr. Rollins, who is from Nevis, was a man who took his game, and he take his time to bring his money, and I know the territory went to missing. I would like to acknowledge the visions I've done here in the British Virgin Islands, and if I may mention a few. We have Mr. Taylor Keith, who was head teacher of a primary school. When I met him, when I was the chief minister's office, and he was annual. Brother Steve was a teacher at King N.A.P.S school. Now, I'm at Dawson School, primary school. And I watched the way he conducted the school, and it reminded me when I was the head teacher of a primary school. Since then, he made a record for himself in representing the BVI in cricket, and he also was seconded to the high school for some time. There are many divisions who have become builders and contractors, and I am sure that some of them are here this evening. I had a lot of dealings with Siski when I was president of the Cricket Association. I held that position for 18 years. And I would tell Theodore, when he seemed to get annoyed with some of the fellows, I said, just leave them alone. Just leave them. As the time we learned in school, said they will come home wagging their tails behind it. And then when some of them received the penalty that they wouldn't be on the BVI team, in the pavilion and almost cried. But they did better afterwards. There is Mr. Hesketh Newton, who established himself as a building contractor, and his handiwork can be seen at Roton Wholesale and the St. George's Church. Then Mr. Merritt Hubbard, I suppose he might object to me saying that he's from Nevis, down here now so long. Mr. Merritt Hubbard not only wakes us up at the beginning of each day at our ZBVI, but is well established in business, in the rental of apartments, and is well known for his fruit and vegetable garden. Mr. Wendell Ward has established himself as an electrical and air conditioning contractor, and the list goes on and on. It is wonderful when societies can be established, especially in countries where they do not have any embassies. And so the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society acts as the embassy for the Nevisians who are residing here. Apart from that, they also assist their homeland in various projects that they are doing, which reminds me that the British Virgin Islanders who went up to New York around the 1920s and onwards formed three groups: the BVI Benevolent Society, the Virgin Gala Mutual Society of New York, and the N.A.P.S Mutual Society of New York. While two of them have been dissolved, the Virgin Gala Mutual Society is still there, and at one time there were persons who had membership in all three societies. I know a little of what these societies did for the Virgin Islands. For example, helping with scholarships to attend high school, improving the schools, donating to the elderly, and assisting in building community centers in N.A.P.S and Virgin Gala long before the government was able to provide any community centers. The society also provides a meeting place for the Nevisians to gather together to have fellowship and to discuss any problems they might have with immigration or labor or other government departments, and together find a better view of how to approach government with their problems. Having said that it's a good thing to become members of a group like this. I must warn you that there are 3 persons you will have to convince of your membership. They are me, myself, and I. You have to realize that you are not bigger than a society, and you must be prepared to accept what the society might wish to adopt in order for the society to grow and increase. Not every suggestion you may put forward will be accepted by the group. I will give you a quote that used to be made often on ZBVI. Hope for the best, get ready for the worst, and accept what God said. Finally, my brethren, let me thank you for the contribution you have made to this territory and for the fact that you live in peace and harmony with our people. And the record to show that you are a law-abiding and peaceful people. Thank God for that. Oftentimes, people who are resident here will go down to St. Nevis for a trip, and on their return, they will tell you that Nevis reminds them of Tortola, very peaceful and quiet. But we are all expected to change, and let us hope that change would be for the better. Now, you will wonder, well, I have said nothing about myself. But first of all, I don't like to talk about myself. And I prefer not to say anything. But you know, in this world today, you come across all sorts of people. And when you do your best to help them, you're a good boy. But when it is not possible for you to do anything to help them, you are a son of what you know. So I accept the good with the bad. And you hear some say, well, O'Neill, bye, I tell you. And others will tell you, well, he's a good chap. So we just have to live and keep on. I want to thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and may I wish the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society several decades of growth and prosperity. Thank you.
Tonight the biography is on Honorable Dr. Simeon Daniel. The Honorable Dr. Simeon Daniel was born on August 22nd, 1834 at Bansgott Village. 1934 at Bansgott Village, St. Thomas's Parish, Nevis, West Indies, to the late Joseph Daniel and Melvina Archer Daniel. The Honorable Dr. Daniel received his early education at St. Thomas's Government Primary School. In 1950, he sat the Standard 7 examination and was a judge first. His outstanding scholastic achievement continued over the next 7 years when he entered the teaching profession as a pupil teacher and was awarded the Leeward Island Teacher's Certificate in 1957. In that same year, he migrated to England, where he pursued studies in law at the Council of Legal Education, School of Law in England. While still a student at Holborn College of Law, 1960 through 1966, he combined work with study and worked as a laborer, then as a clerk at the London County Council, and later as an executive officer. And in 1965, received a recognition grant for outstanding meritorious work from the said institution. He continued his education at the Inner Temple of the Inns of Court in London, and in 1966 became barrister at law and was called to the bar in England. The Honorable Dr. Simeon Daniel returned to St. Kitts Nevis in 1966, and from 1966 to 1968, he was employed as an assistant secretary in the Minister of Foreign Affairs in St. Kitts and was admitted to the local bar. The following 2 years, he was appointed Crown Counsel and later Registrar of the Supreme Court and Additional Magistrate in the state. In 1970, he returned to Nevis and entered private practice. In the same year, he entered the field of politics and was among the founding members of the Nevis Reformation Party, called N.A.P.S, serving as its first president. His first bid for political office was unsuccessful, and he failed to gain the seat he contested in 1971 general elections. In the same year, he won the seat he contested in the Nevis local council election, and he served as chairman of the local council from 1972 to 1980, when he resigned from that position. Dr. Daniel was elected to the National Assembly in May 1975 and was appointed leader of the opposition. He was again successful in the general elections in February 1980. Following the elections, to historic coalition government of the People's Action Movement, affectionately called PAM, and the Nevis Reformation Party, N.A.P., was formed. The Honorable Dr. Simeon Daniel was appointed to the honorable portfolios of Minister of Finance and Minister of Nevis Affairs in the new coalition government on February 19, 1980. In 1982, he led the Nevis delegation to London to negotiate the independence constitution for St. Kitts and Nevis. When St. Kitts and Nevis became an independent nation in 1983, he gained home rule for Nevis under the Independence Constitution in 1983 and became the first Premier of Nevis on September 19, 1983. His success at the polls continued, and he won the seat he contested in 1984 and 1989 in the Federal Parliament and the Nevis Island Assembly in 1987. Daniel served as a political figure until June 1992. During his tenure as Premier of Nevis, he was instrumental in the rebirth of the Nevis we all know and love today. His accomplishments for Nevis includes, but are not limited to, first cable television company on the island, establishment of the sixth form college on Nevis, scholarships for students to the Alabama A&M University, establishing and funding the University of Miami Bachelors of Arts, program for teachers to remain on Nevis while acquiring their degrees, establishing and funding the Miami-Dade Community College Associates of Arts degree program for senior civil servants to remain on Nevis while acquiring their degree, new airport, major road improvements, funding the father of the Bank of Nevis in 1985, negotiated the Four Seasons Hotel and Resort development on Nevis, which is the first five-star hotel in the Caribbean and is today a major contributor to the island's economy. A brief list of awards and recognition. During his professional and political careers, the Honorable Dr. Simeon Daniel has been the recipient of a number of distinguished awards. The first of such awards was received in 1965 when the London City Council presented him with an award in recognition of his outstanding and meritorious work. In 1979, he was awarded a certificate for distinguished achievement from Cambridge, England. In 1983, he was named in the International Who's Who for Intellectuals. In 1987, he was awarded the degree of Doctor of Laws, LLD honor by the Marquis Whip Seluna International University Foundation. In 1987, he was awarded the Albert Einstein Bronze Medal for Peace by the Albert Einstein International Foundation. In 2000, he was awarded the International Order of Merit Medal for International Biographic Center of Cambridge, England. In 2004, Hearts and Hands for Nevis Incorporated of New York honored and recognized Dr. Daniel for his contribution to the social and economic development of Nevis. In 2005, the International Biographic Center of Cambridge, England, inducted him into the IBC Hall of Fame for outstanding achievement in the field of government. In 2007, the Nevisian Association of Washington, D.C. honored Dr. Daniel for his many years of work in the interest of Nevis and its people, and for his significant efforts in securing adequate political representation for Nevis. Currently, the Honorable Dr. Simeon Daniel is practicing law and is the senior partner in the firm of Daniel, Brantley and Associates, Charlestown, Nevis. Dr. Daniel, lasting legacy and dream for Nevis would be for a free, independent, and self-sustaining Nevis, a world-class destination, and a people free of domination and proud of their ancestry, and for each and every Nevisian to walk as equals anywhere in the world. There you had it, ladies and gentlemen, honorees. Dr. Simeon Daniel, first Premier of Nevis. The Nevis Alliance Progressive Society of the BVI on their 10th anniversary celebration held on 21st April 2012 honors Dr. Simeon Daniel being the first Premier of Nevis, 1983-2002.
Pleasant good evening to everyone. Mr. Chairman, kindly allow me to adopt the protocol that has been so ably established. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be here with you this evening on behalf of my father, Dr. Simeon Daniel. I accept this most prestigious award on behalf of my father with great humility. As your theme so ably points out, building on a strong foundation honoring our first, it is fitting that you have chosen Nevis's first premier and to many the father of modern Nevis to honor. Dr. Daniel deeply regrets not being able to attend in person this evening to accept this award, but has empowered me to accept it on his behalf. I wish to convey Dr. Daniel's gratitude on being honored here this evening by the Nevis Progressive Alliance Society. He is entirely familiar with the society and its many works in the BVI and Division community. Dr. Daniel commends the society for its continued work in the support of the BVI and Division communities. The Nevis Alliance Progressive Society is truly a positive influence on the development of both communities, and more so in Nevis. As the first premier of Nevis, Dr. Daniel pioneered the development of many industries in Nevis. He was instrumental in the creation and development of the Nevis offshore industry. He was a founding member of the Bank of Nevis, one of the leading banking institutions in the Federation. He was particularly passionate in the development of his people and showed this by implementing many programs, one of which was the first teachers' education program for Nevisians, so that they may have the opportunity as trained teachers to instruct and develop the youth of Nevis. Among his many other firsts, he was also instrumental in ensuring that the only 5-star, 5-diamond hotel was developed on Nevis. In closing, I would like to say on behalf of my father and my family, a heartfelt thank you for this most distinguished award. Once again, thank you.
Thank you very much, Adrian. I now call on Carlisle Frank. I have the name right. Yes, and he's here to introduce into the presentation of our next honoree, the Honorable V. Inez Archibald.
A most pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It takes me great pleasure on behalf of the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society to honor our third honoree, our Deputy Governor, the beautiful Miss Inez V. Archibald. Miss V. Inez Archibald was born in the West End, Tortola, in 1945. She graduated from the Virgin Islands Secondary School in 1963, after which she was employed as a cashier, secretary, bookkeeper with the then Virgin Islands National Bank, now Banco Popular de Puerto Rico. In 1966, she moved to St. Kitts, where she worked as the manager's secretary at the National Mid-Atlantic Bank, later Bank of America. 2 years later, she returned to the BVI and together with her husband, established the law firm of J.S. Archibald & Co., where she worked as a manager for 10 years. In 1981, Mrs. Archibald received her Bachelor of Science degree in Business and Economics from the Rollins College, Florida, USA. In 1984, she received her Master of Arts in Religion from Stetson University, also in Florida. In 1988, she was awarded a Master of Divinity degree from Emory University's Chandler School of Theology in Atlanta, Georgia. Mrs. Archibald returned to the BVI in 1991, where she worked as a Chief Executive Officer of J.S. Archibald & Co. Mrs. Archibald's life is one of public service. From 1971 to 1978, and from 1993 to 1998, Mrs. Archibald served as a member of the Public Service Commission and member and chairman from 1999 to 2002. She has also served on the BVI Income Tax Appeal Board, the BVI Judicial and Legal Services Commission, and the Family Support Network. In 2003, she was elected as Speaker of the Legislative Council of the Virgin Islands and served until 2007. In 2008, Mrs. Archibald was appointed to the post of Deputy Governor of the Virgin Islands, a post she currently holds. Mrs. Archibald is a servant of God. She is married to Dr. J.S. Archibald, QC, her husband of 47 years, and they have 3 adult daughters and 4 grandchildren. I present to you our lovely Deputy Governor, Mrs. Ines Archibald. And this plaques read, the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society of the BVI on the 10th anniversary celebration held on 21st April 2012 honors Honorable V. Ines Archibald being the first Lady Speaker of the Legislative Council, British Virgin Islands, 2003 to 2007. The Nevis Alliance Progressive Society, I present to you Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, Honorable Premier, other distinguished honorees, and the distinguished persons at the head table, friends, I am deeply honored on this occasion. But first, let me take this opportunity to congratulate the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society on their 10th anniversary. It has not escaped my attention that when the association was launched 10 years ago, as a part of the inaugural celebrations, you attended worship at the Methodist Church in Roetown. I'm pleased also to note that on the occasion of your 10th anniversary, you chose once again to attend worship at Roetown. That perhaps tells me everything about you. Let me say as well how honored I feel to be among the distinguished honorees, the Honorable Ralph T. O'Neill, now leader of the opposition, with whom I had the privilege of serving as Speaker from 2003 to 2007, when he was once again leader of the opposition. I listened to him this evening. The voice may be weak and faint, but the brain is as solid as ever. And if we listen to him carefully, we will have noted that he is as fierce and as sharp as ever. Honorable O'Neill, I'd like to congratulate you, sir, and to thank you for your contribution to the BVI. Mr. Adrian Daniel, if I may, I would ask you to convey to your dad my congratulations on this occasion. I have to confess that I cannot say that I know a whole lot about what he has done or about the man himself, but I have listened this evening. and I have been educated and enlightened. So please convey to him my congratulations. Mr. Theodore Skeet, I cannot remember when I first came to know him, but what I knew about him was that he was quite a debater, and he would debate you down to the end. Now that, as I understand divisions, may be uncharacteristic, but that was Mr. Skeet. I understood he was like that in the classroom. I had word from my son-in-law who worked with him at the college that he was still the debater and doing well. Mr. Skeet, I am sure that you have done yeoman's work in establishing this association. And all of Nevis, and indeed the BVI, must say thank you for all that you have done to establish the association and to see to it in its nascent stages. And I'm sure although you have not been able to be as actively involved as you would have liked, that you have still kept an eye. So I thank Mrs. Skeet for all her support of you as you provide support in your own unique way for the association, and I would like to congratulate you as well. If my mother were alive, she would be here in her hat, her pink dress, and her white pumps. But she is long gone home, and so I take a moment to acknowledge her influence on my life. My father is here. Daddy, I am delighted and grateful that you are able to share this moment with me. My father will be 89 on the 23rd of next month. And he still, when he is walking with me on the street, he still says, walk up, you're walking too slow. I hope I have gotten some of those genes. Two of our three daughters are here with me, Pat and Faye's husband, Idred. My sister, my elder sister, Annette, is here. She has not been out for some time, and I'm grateful that she chanced coming this evening. In fact, she insisted. So, Chooks, I'm glad to have you here. I'm surrounded by friends this evening. Obviously, I can't list everybody, but I would take a moment to acknowledge the presence of my predecessor. I don't know how to put that anyway. It's the former Deputy Governor, Mr. Elton Georges, and his wife, Mrs. Rita Georges, who, in another role in which I play, has been a tower of strength to me. The Reverend John Gums and Mrs. Veronica Gums. Joseph and Johnny have been friends, I believe, for 52 years. And Vero and I think we are a year apart in our marriages, have been friends for 42 years. They came to the BVI for 2 weeks. And when I told them that the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society was going to honor me, they decided to stay on for the occasion. And I'm very grateful to them. Julian Gordon, the newly married man, thank you for being here, you and your worship. My husband likes to say that he is a Kittitian by birth and a Nevisian by ancestry. He's right. His parents moved to St. Kitts after they were married and never moved back to Nevis. I suppose that makes me a Kittitian and a Nevisian. So Joseph, I am grateful to you for all of your support through our almost 47 years of marriage, and for the way you have stood tall when I needed you to. One of our daughters caught the Nevision bug, and so from the paternal ancestral side of the family, she went back to Nevis and married a man. So we are happy to have you in the family, Edred. Edred is a typical Nevision. You don't seem to talk very much. And when you do talk, you talk very softly. Edred is a champion. We are glad to have another Nevision in the family. When the association worshipped in Rotown on Sunday, they made a contribution of $500 to Mrs. Harriet Herbert, incidentally, the wife of Merritt Herbert, who is in charge of the Soup Kitchen, which is a ministry emanating out of the Rotown Methodist Church. I have a fellow theologian friend who says to me all the time, Inez, I believe that at the end of the day, when that time comes for us to be judged, the Lord is going to ask, what did you do for the least of these? I don't know if he's right exclusively, but I believe he's right in part. And if I am to take from your contribution on Sunday what you're about, regardless of what your objects say, I would say that if you maintain that ministry, which is what I call it, ministry, then you would be able to answer well that I fed the hungry, I clothed the naked, I sheltered the homeless, I looked after the prisoners. God bless you all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to adopt the protocol already established. Mr. Skeet has lived a life, and his bio is sort of a lengthy, and his wife did not allow me to cut anything out. So here it goes. Born on the island of Nevis, Theodore C. Skeet is the second son of the late Ernestine Walwyn Mills and the only son of the late Arthur Skeet, who died shortly after his birth. Theodore was raised by his grandmother, the late Maud Skeet, from the age of 6 months in the coastal village of Newcastle. He excelled in his early education at the Combermere Elementary School, where he subsequently gained experience in teaching when he was asked to assist with teaching of his peers as early as age 15. However, he commenced his formal teaching career at the age of 17 as an assistant teacher. He was selected for professional training at the Leeward Islands Teachers Training College in Antigua from 1964 to 1966. During that time, he was very active in all aspects of college life, where he participated in the college's Calypso competition. On his return to Nevis, he assumed duties at the St. James's School, where he worked for 2 years. While in Nevis, Theodore was an active member of the Combermere Methodist Church. He served on the choir, was the Boys Brigade captain, and as a local preacher as he contemplated entering the ministry. He was also very active in sports. Theodore migrated to the British Virgin Islands in 1968 and was appointed principal of the King Garden Bay Primary School until 1972. He encouraged his students to learn so that they would one day assume their rightful places in their community or in whatever capacity they found themselves. Hence, the motto he coined, "Not for school, but for life," is now emblazoned on the wall of the King Garden Bay Primary School, now the Ivan Dawson Primary School. In 1973, transferred to the British Virgin Island High School as an assistant teacher, where he taught a variety of subjects, preparing students for school leaving, General Certificate of Education, and Caribbean Council examinations. He not only did this at school, but he spent most of his weekends and vacation assisting the students. While in BVI High School, he was head of House 1, Letsome House. It is said the house started winning and was champion for 1978 to 1980 and 1982 under his leadership. In 1982, he was awarded the scholarship by the BVI government to undergo undergraduate studies in social sciences and at the then College of the Virgin Islands, CVI, now University of the Virgin Islands, UVI, graduating in 1985 with honors. Among the many awards he received were Who's Who Among Students in American Universities and Colleges, UVI, Certificates of Academic Excellence, President Club, Darwin Crickey Economics Award, Leadership Award, Black History Month, UVI, Student Government Award, UVI, 1985, an assistantship by the University of Maine in Orono, Maine, to pursue graduate studies in economics. He graduated with a Master's of Arts degree in 1986. During that period, he lectured in economics at the said university. On returning to the BVI in 1986, he was reassigned to the BVI High School for 2 years. It was around that time that Theodore's involvement in Lionism in the British Virgin Islands began. He coached and traveled with the BVI High School debating team to St. Lucia in 1987 for Roti OECS Secondary School debating competition. They were successful up to the semi-final and had to settle for second place as one of the participants fell ill. In 1988, he was appointed Government Economics at the Development Planning Unit, BVI. His studies were provided economics analysis of fiscal policies, plans and programs for the BVI, along with advice and formulations of local legislation covering banks, insurance, the Trust Companies Act. He was a member of the Fiscal Review Committee. In 1996, Theodore retired from the public service and was later employed as manager of Nagico Insurance Agency, Tortola. The following year, he was contracted by the government to work in connection with the National Integrated Development Plan. In Lionism, he would continue to develop within the organization and served in every administrative capacity, included president of the Tortola Lions Club. Theodore was selected and served as Lion Zone for Zone 2D with responsibilities for both the BVI and USVI Lions and Leo clubs in 1994 to 1995. By this time, and indeed because of his sterling service in Lionism, Theodore had already received several awards, among them the highest award possible by any Lion member, the Melvin Jones Fellow Award in 1995. In keeping with his Lionistic roots, Theodore was again selected in 1997 to 1998 for the position of regional chair chairman for District 60B, Region 2D, which encompasses the Lions and Leo of the U.S. Virgin Islands and British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, Anguilla, Montserrat, Dominica, St. Martin, Sable, and Center Station. He also served as area representative for multiple District 60 in 1998 to 1999. In 1998, Theodore migrated to St. Thomas, United States Virgin Islands, where he was employed in a senior grant analysis, the Office of Management and Budget, OMB. After 1.5 years at OMB, he aspired to the position of senior budget analysis at the Post Audit Department in 2000. This position gave him direct oversight of the budget and expenditure of the U.S. Virgin Islands legislature. In spite of his busy and demanding schedule, Theodore still found time to pursue his love for teaching by lecturing part-time in economics at his alma mater, USVI. He also found time to be actively involved in another of his passion, cricket. When he migrated to U.S. Virgin Islands, he transferred his membership to the St. Thomas East End Lions Club while maintaining at-large membership with the Lions of Tortola. He willingly and ably carried the torch there and subsequently, on his return to the BVI, embraced it with even more vigor. In addition, since his illness, the Lions organization has made him a life member in recognition of his years of service. No sooner than he arrived in St. Thomas, he was invited to become a member of the Nevis Benevolence Society, N.A.P.S, of St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. This organization is one that brought persons of Nevisian background living in the Virgin Islands to aid and facilitate community developments via self-help efforts. Within his first year as member, Theodore was installed as president for approximately 2 years. Therefore, Theodore coordinated the business of N.A.P.S with zeal and determination. He was instrumental in spurring membership growth, initiated several fundraising projects and benevolence initiatives, and celebrated the organization's 34th anniversary with a grand luncheon honoring our 4 distinguished members of the Virgin Islands community. He was recognized by N.A.P.S at their 40th anniversary celebration in 2006 for his contribution to the organization. As if only to accentuate the community mindedness, on his return to Tortola in 2001, Theodore set about to create an organization made up of his fellow Nevisians here in Tortola. Earlier, in fact, in 1984, he had made a gallant effort in seeking to commence a Nevis society, but it had not succeeded in taking off. This time his timing was right, and the net result was the formulation of what is today known as the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society, N.A.P.S. This organization, under Theodore's astute leadership, has been instrumental in adopting the Alexandrina Maduro Primary School and on a consistent basis made benevolent contribution to other schools in the BVI and Nevis. The Alexandria Hospital in Nevis, as well as spearheaded numerous fundraising drives and addressed many other worthy causes. Just days prior to his illness, Theodore spearheaded the Society's 5th anniversary celebration with the recognition of 4 noble and worthy citizens of the territory for their sterling contribution to the BVI. N.A.P.S have recognized Theodore as a life member for the overall efforts in founding the organization and service to the community. Theodore was passionate about community service and his capacity to serve. But that compassion is no way very compatible for his love for the sports called cricket. As a Nevisian, he participated in the national pastimes as a player, honing his skills as an opening batsman and medium-pace bowler. But as his playing days waned, he sought to get involved in every way possible. In fact, if he was not in the center of the activity, for him, life was not worthwhile. He was directly involved in the administration of the game in the BVI from the time that he came to BVI, and has held every position of significance, including president, secretary, treasurer, manager, public relations officer for both BVI and the USVI Association, as well as vice president of the Leeward Island Cricket Association, LICA. He would have heard say that he did not quite enjoy being in that position, vice president of LICA. He felt like toothless tiger in that position. His preference was that of being a floor member, because from there he can defend his cause. Theodore's contribution to society further continued when he returned to the BVI in November 2001 from the US Virgin Islands. He entered the employ of Caribbean Basing Enterprises, BVI Limited, in tandem with Berger CBE, BVI Limited, as the senior economist charged with coordinating the development of the master plan for the National Sewage Program for the BVI. On completion of the project, Theodore took up full-time employment at the H. Laverty Stowe Community College, HLSCC, as senior lecturer attached to the Humanities, Social Sciences, and Communication Department, and eventually acting head of the said department. Even in the prior capacity, he was solicited by University of the West Indies, UWI outreach program located on the HLSCC compound to lecture political science and economics. He ably filled those positions until he was forced to retire as a result of illness. Theodore is married to the former Maisie Hendrickson. He is the father of sons Brian, Tremis, Mayan, daughter Elsia, and grandfather of Chad and Lucas George. Theodore has always been a resourceful and enthusiastically energetic personality who is passionate about life. He believes that we were all being put on earth to serve one another. In that belief, he is conscientious and indeed deeply religious. His life, as mentioned, has had one main focus: service. As a result, developed a reputation on an extremely hard worker, an achiever, a go-getter, a person who will get the job done against all odds. In that light, he is a perfectionist and detests mediocrity. To work with him means that you must be at your best at all times. He embraced and lives the Lion's motto, serve, and add credence to an old adage which he repeats most frequently: success reigns where commitment prevails. The family, on behalf of Mr. Theodore Skeet, would like to thank the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society of the in the BVI for selecting him for this honor. Ladies and Mr. Theodore Skeet, this plaque and it reads, from the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society. The lighting is bad, I can't see.
The Nevis Alliance Progressive Society of the BVI, on their 10th anniversary celebration held on 21st of April 2012, honors Mr. Theodore C.E. Skeet, better known as Daddy, being the first president of the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society of the British Virgin Islands, 2002 to 2005.
I would like to say I can testify to a lot of what was said about Mr. Skeet concerning Nevis Alliance Progressive Society, as I was his first secretary. And it is true, you have to be at your best at all times, no mediocrity.
Thank you.
His sons will respond.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, friends, family, honorees, good evening. Now, when my mother called me and told me that I need to buy a plane ticket and said I have to come down here and speak on behalf of my father, I said, well, I would think, Mommy, that would be your role. I mean, who knows him better than you? But I realized as I get older, at some point, your parents will continue to push you off of that branch and keep you flying and flying. And now here I am today to try to say a few words about my dear father. Now, I've read, as you all, read all the statements in this booklet, but there was something in there that I felt should have been put because it was a story that I heard about my father, which goes back to Combermere School. What they don't say about my father, that at that time when he was granted the charter to teach as an assistant teacher, that there were many times he would walk to school barefoot. And this story was told to me many times in arguments where I would be cheeky at certain mornings where I wouldn't want to go to school. And that's the first thing I would hear. We see when your father was going to school, he didn't have any shoes. You don't have no excuse to get your education. You're a skeet. Now, some of you love my father for the fact that he taught you, or he was a dear friend or a dear confidant. Try living in a house 24 hours a day under that type of pressure to live up to that, shoes or no shoes. So it doesn't surprise me that he would set out to start such an organization. For one thing I know about my father, he was always about many things, but the two most important things I would say he's been about is ambition and innovation. He always would set out to create an opportunity where one didn't exist. If he felt that an opportunity was not available to him, he would just merely create it for himself, therefore creating other opportunities, not just for himself, but for many people within his community. And that's something I saw constantly, whether it was in the form of bringing students from high school into the home and help them with their homework while I was doing homework at the very same desk. Or he would take us to the cricket field to watch cricket, maybe in an effort to teach me how to play cricket, but that didn't happen, so. But I understand the game. I do understand what an over is. I do understand. But that is, that and the many things you've read and all the stories which I know a lot of you hold dear to your hearts about him is Theodore Skeet. And that I love you. Congratulations. Amorian, I really, if you would like to come up and say more, otherwise I can keep going.
Good evening, everyone. I share the same sentiments my brother said, but it was along the same trend. First off, I would like to say thank you to N.A.P.S, the board of directors, the ex officio members, the general membership, any member of a Nevis who is here presently tonight. I would like to say thank you to the members of the BVI government, the Division government who are here today for honoring the society and my father with their presence. This whole occasion is just, I didn't expect it would be like this. It's just overwhelming. I want to say thank you to all family and friends. Just sitting there and tonight from early on, and I didn't realize the historical connections that were in the room to how much family we had, because me and my brother, although we were born in Tortola, we thought we were the only skeets, in the BBI, because,
That's right.
So sitting here and I'm looking at the table and I heard Mr. Corsair speak earlier, and he said that he's family to us, and Dr. Smith, I mean, he was the doctor who, took me out of my mother. It just down the line, Mr. Archibald, I would hear that on my mother's side of the family, we are family to Dr. Archibald. And then I'm to understand Mrs. Archibald saying that her daughter got married earlier, and she's married to her cousin on her father's side, Skeet. And I'm like, what's going on? This is just crazy to me. So I would like to say a special thanks to my mother for being a pillar of strength, patience, and dignity. This is before my father's illness and after. I just want to put that. One thing, I already talked about my father. My brother mentioned some stuff, but there's one thing. When I know we didn't talk about it, we ad-libbing here. We didn't write anything down. My father, he's all, perfectionist. So I'm trying to figure out if I should have written a long speech with all the protocol and all that stuff to appease him. And I'm like, I can't capture the passion that my father has, because he can't speak for himself now. I said, we owe him to come up here and be his satellite to say, okay, if he could speak right now, how would my father speak if he was here in front of this thing? So anyone who is not familiar with how our father speaks can see this is how he is. So I'm like, I'm going to go ad-lib and try to evoke my father's presence. So if it's one thing my father was passionate about, he was passionate about many things. He is passionate about education. He is passionate about cricket. I mean, we grew up in Tortola during a time where cricket was not pushed as much in the schools. And I would always hear about Premier Ralph T. O'Neill playing cricket in the 60s. Dr. Smith, the current Premier, he talked about playing cricket. And that's all we heard growing up, cricket. He would drag us down to the field every Sunday, from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock, watching cricket. West Indies, before cable was big, 4 o'clock in the morning, my father's laying down in the living room with a radio, listening to some stations you can't even understand what they're saying. And he's just into it. I wish I was as passionate into cricket as he is, because I feel like I'm missing out on something. Like my brother said, we understand the game, but we're just not as passionate into it. But lastly, one thing that he is passionate in is Nevis. He is a division through and through and through. We grew up in a division household, and that's if one thing that they did, they made sure to let us know where we came from, the culture back home. When the summers would come through, my mother would send us to our grandmother. I would like to acknowledge that my grandmother passed away once again. My mother is a pillar of strength. We've been through a lot of trials and tribulations, and we come here, I came down on Thursday, my brother came down on Friday, and I'm leaving tomorrow just to make sure that I said I had to be here to make sure that my father knows that because I can remember, I left Tortola in 2001, and I remember when he was putting all these ideas together for N.A.P.S. One of the many things he was a member of, whether it be cricket or Lions, I can't name all the organizations that he was secretary, president, vice president, treasurer. Books and receipts and stuff that's all over the house for the various things that he does.
Yes.
I mean, I could go on and on and on and on about this, but I would like, so I'm going to finish. I would like to say a special thank you to some other people as well. One to his special friends, Douglas Johnson. Me and my brother, we live abroad, and my mother, it's very hard to manage my father's well-being, and I would like to thank Mr. Johnson for being there, my father's friend, while we are not here. And I would also like to thank...
Could you please give him a round of applause? Like, really?
Yes.
Dougie, thank you, thank you, thank you for being there.
I would also like to thank Senator Roosevelt David and his wife, Rosie, when my father...
Thank you.
Moved to St. Thomas. I know that he had friends down there, and in actuality, I think that's where he got the idea, the spark to make N.A.P.S, because St. Thomas already had a society, and it was kind of dwindling, and he went down there, and it seems that anything he touches just blows up, the society blew up, and then when he came back to Tortola, it's just like, okay, he's like, I'm gonna make N.A.P.S, and in 10 years, look at this, members of government on Nevis and the BV Islanders, and all these colors, and everyone on tuxes is just, I'm just impressed. And once again, I'll just say thank you very much.
Wait, don't forget to mention.
Yes.
Marion, you're really impressing me tonight, but you failed to mention that we are the two first Virgin Island-born children of Theodore Skeet. So in a way, we are Nevisian Virgin Islanders, people. This is, as I like to say.
I would like to acknowledge some other people as well. I know my sister, Elsie, she's in Florida right now. I know if she could make it, she will. And my brother, Brian, who's in the Navy right now, he's out in the water somewhere. And I know if he was on land, he would be here today. And also our nephews, Chad and Lucas. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job. Once again, a round of applause to the Skeets and to all the honorees. You can do better than that. Now we're about to hear from the President of N.A.P.S, Della.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening to everyone. Mr. Chairman, please allow me to recognize the protocol already established. It gives me great pleasure this evening to stand here in the capacity of N.A.P.S to see and to welcome all of you, our distinguished guests from the BVI and from Nevis. As N.A.P.S celebrates its 10th anniversary, it gives us a moment to reflect on our history. In March of 2002, N.A.P.S was launched by a group of energetic Nevisians headed by Mr. Theodore C.E. Skeet, united in an effort to form an alliance to make our contribution to the BVI a country we love and adopted as our home, and to Nevis, the land of our birth. Ever since the launching of the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society, N.A.P.S, of the BVI, the society have strived to maintain the highest level of accountability, leadership, group dynamics, and ethics. All these characteristics were thoughtfully considered by its founding president, Mr. Theodore C.E. Skeet, and the founding members, to ensure that the society fulfill its mission of benevolence in keeping with the society's motto, one in unity, together in strength. It has proved that when resources are pulled together, much can be achieved. Over the past 10 years, the society had its share of challenges, which were often referred to by Mr. Skeet as growing pains. The society experienced the loss of some very hard-working and dedicated members who have departed this life and are greatly missed. And I take this opportunity to recognize the members, to recognize them by name: Mr. Hastings Descent, Mr. Layton Simmons, and Ms. Ione Tyson. I also recognize the members who, because of illness, cannot participate in the society's activities. Such persons are our beloved past president, and founding president, Mr. Theodore Speed, who still has a very keen interest and keeps an eye out on everything that N.A.P.S does, and I know that that his wife has to report to him every time what N.A.P.S is doing. We also recognize Mrs. Mavis Brumant, who has been ill. Nonetheless, the Society's achievements are evidence of the determination of its members and our desire to give our time, energy, and yes, in many cases, financial contribution. Some of the Society's highlights and achievements over the past 10 years are the adoption of the Alexandrina Maduro Primary School and the contributions we made to that school. Our annual walk, which is done to promote awareness for various causes in the community, such as the work for the special needs children at the Eslin Henry Ritchie Learning Center, the Family Support Network, the BVI Cancer Society, Adina Donovan Home for the Elderly, book scholarships, Rainbow Children Home, and much more. Using the resources of the nurses in the society, N.A.P.S carried out high blood pressure and diabetic screening in Nevis, and we presented an EKG machine to the Alexandrina Hospital in Nevis. Other contributions made in Nevis are contributions to the annual Christmas tree lighting, Joyce Liebert School Auditorium Roof Project, the Children's Summer Camp, benches placed at the Vance Emery Airport, and the MV Christina Disaster Memorial Site. Presently, there's an ongoing effort to raise funds to purchase a dialysis machine for St. Kitts and Nevis. Another proud moment for N.A.P.S was the installation of the Virgin Gorda members on June 17, 2009, into the society. The presence of our invited guests to this, our 10th anniversary celebration, is evidence of the support which we have received over the years, and tonight we are determined more than ever to continue our mission of benevolence which have brought us to this pinnacle. It is in the framework of serving our communities that we chose to honor four distinguished persons here tonight who are first in their right. The Honorable Ralph T. O'Neill, first Premier of the British Virgin Islands, Honorable Inez V. Archibald, First Lady Speaker of the House of Assembly, Honorable Simeon Daniel, first Premier of Nevis, and Mr. Theodore C. Skeet, first President of N.A.P.S. They have all distinguished themselves in the positions for which they are being honored tonight. We, the members of N.A.P.S, are proud to confer on them the honor they so richly deserve. As we celebrate the 10th anniversary of N.A.P.S, we give thanks to God for the successful growth of the organization and for sustaining us as we fulfill our commitment to serve, and ask that He will grant us many more years. To the BVI public, a huge thank you for supporting our efforts by your participation, attendance, and monetary contribution to the various events we offer for the past 10 years. You are certainly the wind beneath our wings. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for celebrating this great moment, which marks a decade of the Society's existence with us. I also take this opportunity to recognize the N.A.P.S members who have remained active for the past 10 years. In the interest of time, I will not call out your names, but you know who you are. Thank you for your contribution and support. God bless you all.
Now I'm going to call on Ms. Mauricia Potter to introduce the keynote speaker.
A pleasant good evening to everyone. I acknowledge the protocol already established, and it was with great pleasure that I've been charged with the duty of introducing the keynote speaker this evening, Mr., or should I say Honorable Mac A.G. Brantley. Mr. Brantley was born at Nevis on the 11th of January 1969 as one of the 4 children to his single mother, Miss Cynthia Williams. Mac was raised in a modest home in Hanley's Road, Gingerland, but what the family lacked financially, his struggling mother made up for it with love and care to all her children. His humble beginnings, however, crafted the foundation for what is now widely acknowledged to be a highly successful career as both lawyer and politician. Honorable Matt Brantley began his academic career at the Chapel School Methodist Church in Gingerland, and thereafter moved on to the newly built Gingerland Primary School, the now Joycelyn Liebert Primary School. At age 8, his family moved to Brown Hill, where he attended the Prospect Primary School, now called Ivor Walters Primary School, from where he progressed to Charlestown Secondary School before attending the Nevis Sixth Form College. Very early in his life, Mac displayed a passion for words and debating. He focused on pursuing a career in law, and in 1989, he left for Barbados to attend the University of the West Indies, where he graduated with a Bachelor of Laws, upper second-class honors in 1992. He later obtained a legal education certificate of merit from the Norman Manley Law School in Kingston, Jamaica, and went on to attain an accelerated Bachelor of Civil Law degree from the St. Catherine's College, Oxford University in England in 1995. On his return to Nevis, he worked as legal counsel for the Nevis Island Administration, and in 1997 joined Simeon Daniel to form the law firm Daniel Brantley and Associates. He is a member of the bar in St. Kitts and Nevis 1994, Anguilla 1996, Grenada 2009, and Antigua and Barbuda 2009. At age 37, he became a member of the Concerned Citizens Movement, and in 2007 successfully defeated the Honorable Hensley Daniel in a by-election for the St. John's seat, prompted by the death of the late Honorable Malcolm Guichard, to secure his first seat in the St. Kitts Nevis Federal Parliament. That victory also won him the auspicious role of Leader of the Opposition of the National Assembly, a position he retained with a second victory over Honorable Daniel again in 2010. In naming Honorable Matt Brantley as its Man of the Year 2010, prominent national newspaper of St. Kitts and Nevis, The Observer, hailed him as the White Knight of local politics, and remarked that he had won the respect of critics and supporters alike for his frankness and trenchant insight. Matt's passion for justice and good governance have led him to confront many of the burning issues that affected the Federation generally, as well as in Nevis in particular. He has been outspoken in his defense of constitutional rights and freedoms, and highly critical of public policies that infringe such rights to the detriment of the citizens of the Federation. According to colleagues and many members of the general public, Matt Brantley stands poised to become an eminent leader in the Federation. He is quoted as saying, "Our country is small and needs all of us on board to move it forward." His passion for serving the people of Nevis and the professional acumen are overshadowed only by his devotion to family. Brantley considers himself a dedicated husband to his wife Sharon, a loving father to daughters Brianna and Gabriella. According to Brantley, he remains grateful to his entire family, who continue to love and support him regardless of the forces arrayed against me. He says his daughters now provide for him the catalyst to ensure that the country is left a better place for them by people like me. Mark credits his mother and deceased father, as well as national hero who we are honoring here this evening, Dr. Simeon Daniel, as being some of the most influential persons in his life. He is particularly committed to the empowerment of youth and ardently supports initiatives that are geared to providing for the needs of the next generation. He has been a friend and supporter of the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society of the British Virgin Islands for many years, and we are honored to have him as our keynote speaker this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, I introduce Mr. Honorable Matt Bradley.
Thank you very much. Master of Ceremonies, Robert Mathavius, Premier Dr. Orlando Smith, honorable members of the BVI House of Assembly, the Honorable Dwight Cozier, Junior Minister in the Nevis Island Administration, the Honorable Vance Amory, Leader of the Opposition in the Nevis Island Administration, President of N.A.P.S, Mrs. Malone, our honorees this evening, Mr. Theodore Skeet and Mrs. Skeet, the Honorable Ralph O'Neill, First Premier of the BVI, and Mrs. O'Neill, the Honorable Simeon Daniel, First Premier of Nevis, who is represented by his son, Adrian Daniel, and Mrs. Daniel, the Honorable V. Inez Archibald, Deputy Governor of the BVI, and the first female Speaker of the BVI Assembly, and her husband, Dr. J.S. Archibald, QC. Executive members of N.A.P.S, members of the Honeybees String Band, who are here in the back, ladies and gentlemen. It is interesting being at any division function because virtually everyone starts with a pleasant good evening. And I had not known that it was a peculiarity of the people of Nevis until I lived in England for some time. And we had a call-in session where we were from the Oxford University calling people begging for money, alumni. And I started, we were in a big hall like such as this, and I started every call by saying, "A pleasant good evening." And everybody around me in the hall would burst out laughing because it suggested that pleasant and good, clearly it was one or the other was redundant. But it is a Nevisian thing, so I said pleasant good evening to one and all. It is interesting this evening looking at the biographies of the honorees, because both the Honorable Ralph O'Neill and the Honorable Dr. Simeon Daniel contested elections for the first time in 1971. Both lost in 1971. Both went on to win in 1975. And both went on to become first premier, one of the BVI and the other of the island of Nevis. I had initially written here that I bring you greetings from Queen City, Nevis, but obviously I have come now at after 11 and so many people have brought greetings already from Queen City, but notwithstanding that, I'm very happy to be here. As I look out at this beautiful venue here at the Moorings this evening and see so many of our people resplendent in their outfits, I say to you that it is a beautiful thing to be Nevisian. I say also to our British Virgin Islands and US Virgin Islands attendees that I salute you for welcoming our people to your shores and making them feel just as much at home as if they were in St. Kitts and Nevis. I mean no discourtesy therefore to the people of the Virgin Islands when I say that I believe that God created Nevis on the 6th day, because the good book tells us that on the 7th he rested. And so I'm confident that having achieved perfection in the creation of Nevis, he was pleased, and so he rested on the 7th day. I said some years ago in a speech at a different venue that it is common for a speaker to start by saying how wonderful and what an honor it is to have been invited to speak. For some, that might just be lip service, but not for me. This evening is indeed a signal honor to have been asked to address this gala gathering. The Nevis Alliance Progressive Society of the British Virgin Islands, affectionately known as N.A.P.S, is an organization which is the envy of many at home and abroad. It celebrates its 10th anniversary this year, having been formed by socially conscious Nevisians in their adopted homeland of the British Virgin Islands in March of 2002, under the astute leadership, we're told, of Theodore Skeet. To have survived 10 years is credit enough, perhaps. To have prospered and grown in that time, and to have fulfilled the mandate to the people of the BVI and the people of Nevis is simply phenomenal. In my own imperfect attempts at service to our people, I continue to be inspired by the work that N.A.P.S undertakes to the benefit of the people of the British Virgin Islands and of Nevisians at home and abroad. As an organization, it epitomizes the value of volunteerism and giving back, and provides a model of longevity of service that is to be emulated. N.A.P.S has been an inspiration for many, for it recognizes that we as a people are ultimately responsible for advancing ourselves. We must be willing to put our hands to the plow and engage in hard work. Wherever we choose to live in this world, we must become good citizens of our adopted countries, and let our light so shine that it redounds to the benefit of Nevisians and Kititians at home and abroad. N.A.P.S embodies the notion of each of us becoming our brother's keeper, each of us having an obligation to look out for each other, and in so doing, build a stronger society than the sum of its individual parts. So what then can you do to help here in the BVI? Many of you have investments at home. Many of you can invest and should invest more at home. Nevis's economy revolves around tourism. What, for example, if N.A.P.S were to designate one of their members and say, your responsibility would be to get as many people as you can to visit Nevis in the next year? That would redound beautifully to the tourism industry on the island of Nevis. We are a great destination for many things that you do here in the BVI, for sailing, for financial services, for high-end tourism. All of that, I believe, each and every one of us can be an ambassador for our island in this, our adopted home. There's also room to diversify our tourism product further. There is currently in Nevis the Medical University of the Americas, which hosts some 500 students. I am told that having students there in those numbers is as good or perhaps better than hotel guests, because in many respects they're there all year round, and therefore rent properties, rent cars, shop at the groceries, and contribute significantly to the economy. I would like to see a greater expansion of that effort in Nevis and a greater partnership between the Medical University and the government to achieve that. The much vaunted geothermal project in Nevis was intended to provide clean, renewable energy, and while that has faltered for reasons that we shall not now get into, it is my hope that with sensible management, that resource can ultimately be harnessed for the benefit of our citizens, residents, and our neighbors. I am forever confident in the Nevisian people and the Nevisian spirit. Where others may have the luxury of turning to their government for stimulus packages and bailouts, we in Nevis must turn to God in prayer and to our bottomless reservoir of hope. We who have come from slavery to colonialism to nationhood with St. Kitts, we have come this far by grace and by hard work, determination, and an undying commitment to our island home. In this, Nevisians at home and Nevisians abroad have always joined their hands together to make a better Nevis. I leave you then with the message of hope. Hope in ourselves for a better future. Hope for our island home and for our youth that they may shun crime and violence and seek out honest work. Hope in a better future for our children, just as our parents left a better present for us. Hope in the abiding resilience of the Nevisian people and the Nevisian spirit. Hope that as a people we shall recognize and live out the biblical admonition to build carefully upon the strong foundation created by others. We as a people must be hopeful, even in the face of anxiety and adversity. May God bless you, the executive and members of N.A.P.S. May God bless these great British Virgin Islands. May God bless our honorees this evening, and may God continue to bless the people of the beautiful island of Nevis.
And now, as we're getting close to the point where you're going to be able to hear the string band from Nevis and get ready your dancing shoes, but there's still two little things to do. First of all, let me call President Gala for some presentations.
Good evening again. I would like to call Miss Daniel. On behalf of N.A.P.S, I would like to present this gift basket to you as a token of our appreciation to you coming to Nevis, to Tortola, to the BVI, accompanying your husband to give his response to his father.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, she said tomorrow.
Hmm?
She said tomorrow. Good evening again. I would like to call all the visiting delegates at the head table to present to you a little token of the British Virgin Islands on behalf of the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society. I will begin with the Honorable Dwight Cozier. This is a booklet that was recently published, and it can tell you everything about the BVI, from financial services to whatever you want to. Thank you. The Honorable Vance Amory. Mr. Adrian Daniel. Thank you once again for coming. And the Honorable Mac A.G. Brantley. And in exchange, we also have a book that was written on the biography of Dr. Simeon Daniel, which we would like to share to the BVI guests at the head table. This is a copy of the book. It's the legacy of Dr. Simeon Daniel, written by Washington Archibald. And I'll call Mr. Robert McTavius. Thank you very much, sir, for being our MC tonight.
Thank you.
Mr. Theodore Skeet, can someone, Tremis Mayan, please come and collect it on his behalf. You're welcome. Dr. Joseph QC Archibald. Sorry, Dr. Joseph Archibald QC. You're welcome. You're welcome. Sorry, Dr. Orlando Smith. The Honorable Dr. D. Orlando Smith, my apologies. Thank you very much. We'll now call Mrs. Prudence McTavius, the wife of the chairperson for this evening's event. On behalf of the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society, we thank you for allowing your husband to do such a splendid job tonight. Mrs. Idris O'Neill, can you please come? Thank you so much for assisting your husband and being here tonight, and for the good work that you've done with him over the years. We appreciate you for being here tonight also. Mrs. Maisie Skeet. Thank you very much.
Tonight, I would like to make a presentation to a very special couple that has been very supportive to N.A.P.S over the past 10 years. I will now like to call the very beautiful and handsome Mr. and Mrs. Keith and Rosemary Flax to the podium. Tonight we have chosen to confer on the Flaxes the status of honorary membership of the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society. They have been there for N.A.P.S over the past years, and I know there are many people who have supported us very well, but you know, tonight is their turn to be honored.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The evening is fast spent, so I would just like to say how grateful we are to the Nevis Alliance Progressive Society. We have recognized the fact that they have played a very meaningful role in this country, their cohesiveness in helping to build this country. They have all worked very hard, and they're one of the few, countries that have played such a role, and we are very grateful for the fact that they continue to do that role in our society. We are really touched by the fact that we are made honorary members, and for that we are grateful, and we will continue to support you. Thank you very much.
I just want to add that we have been invited on many occasions to the Alliance's functions, and we have been very obedient. It has always been a pleasure for us to be there, and we will continue to support the Alliance because we know that it's doing a very, very worthy job in bridging the gap between Nevis and the British Virgin Islands. And for this, we thank you very much. I would also like to congratulate the honorees for a job well done. Thank you.
I would like to call Jasmine Bass to the podium, please. Bass, Jasmine Bass. Over the years, Jasmine, even though she is not a member of N.A.P.S, her mother is a member of N.A.P.S, but Jasmine has always been there. You couldn't tell the difference. When at any time we can ask her to do anything and she never complains, she's always ready to do whatever we ask her to do. And for this, Jasmine, we are grateful. And tonight we would like to present to you this plaque. And it reads, presented to Jasmine Bass in recognition of your outstanding and reliable contribution to N.A.P.S, April 21st, 2012. I would like to call Lorna Rollins to the podium, please. Tonight, Lorna, it gives me great pleasure to give you this token in recognition of, it reads, Nevis Alliance Progressive Society presents to Lorna Rollins in recognition of your outstanding contribution to N.A.P.S fundraising efforts. I would like to call, Mayetta Marshall, please. This also is in recognition of May's hard work and her hard work towards our fundraising efforts. And this award reads, presented to Mayetta Marshall in recognition of outstanding contribution to N.A.P.S fundraising efforts. Mr. Anthony Lewis. Mr. Lewis has stepped outside, so I move on. Mr. Lewis is a very hard and dedicated N.A.P.S worker who contributes in every areas of N.A.P.S work. And tonight this plaque reads, presented to Anthony Lewis in recognition of hard work and dedication to N.A.P.S, April 21st, 2012. a very, very hardworking and dedicated lady. Most of you know her, a short lady, Verna Watley, who is not here with us tonight. But I would like to call Charles Lloyd to accept this plaque, this award for her. Lloyd. And the plaque reads, presented to Verna Watley in recognition of your outstanding contribution to N.A.P.S fundraising efforts. There is one more award, last but not least, and this one goes to Yolande Castro. Yolande has been N.A.P.S secretary for the past 2 years, and this is her 3rd year. And she's not only a very hardworking secretary, but this gala tonight was spearheaded by her. She is the coordinator. And so tonight I would like to say thank you and congratulate you, Yolande, on a job well done.
And I guess this. We have Mr. Franklin Manners, Hendrickson, who is the toast to Her Majesty the Queen.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. MC. You have done a great job for the night. Good evening, everyone again. At this moment, I am the one to give the toast to the Queen, Her Majesty the Queen. And you all know that she will be celebrating her 85th or 86 years this year. Congratulations to the Queen, and long years. May the years ahead be very good for her. Thank you. To the Queen. Thank you.
BVI has been very good to us, and us here in the BVI. So we want to say 3 cheers to the BVI. Hip, hip, hip. Hip, hip, hip. Hip, hip, hip. Long live the BVI.
Pleasant good evening to everybody. I'm supposed to do a toast to N.A.P.S. Our motto is one in unity, together in strength. And we just want to, but before I say that, I just want to take a minute to say that there are a few people who has impacted my life, and especially here at the head table, Mr. Skeet and Mr. Ronnie Skelton. And I just want to say that I love you guys. To N.A.P.S. To N.A.P.S.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to follow the protocol already established. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me raising your glass, and toast to Nevis, the Queen of the Caribbean. To Nevis.
Thank you. May be seated. Miss Emerald Pemberton will now give a vote of thanks.
My task is a very simple one. It's just to say thank you to all those who have made this evening's event a success. First, I would like to thank God for a great day. Thank Him for His goodness. Thank Him for life and health, for enabling us to be here. Thanks to the honorees for accepting to be here to receive your honor. Thank you. Over the last few weeks, we were able to receive a number of sponsors. Together, we have over 60 sponsors towards this evening's event. The names of the sponsors are listed in a booklet. I would not call the names. You can read them, but they would be published later in the newspaper. Would like to say thanks to our very able Master of Ceremony. Thank you for a job well done. Thank you to a number of other persons who have contributed. We would like to thank the Honeybees, Choice FM 105.3 in Nevis. Thank you for the advertisements. VCR FM, thank you also for publishing our advertisements. Jasmine, again, for designing our booklet. Kamal Letsam for creating the booklet. Smart Matt for printing the booklets. Stanley Powell for wine and champagne. For all the door prizes from Four Seasons, Byers Creek Resort, Paul's Photo Studio, Cabbage Beauty Spa, Abundant Blessings, Village Key, we say thank you. Thank you for Nadia Designs for this beautiful decoration. Thank you to BVI Airways, the charter that brought the honeybees down. Thank you to Garner Skelton for the rental of the lovely white furnishing that we're sitting on this evening. Thank you to the media for covering this evening's event. Thank you to the Moorings for a delicious dinner. And thank you, our guests, for being so patient and for waiting for us, this long. There are a number of persons who I am not able to thank at this time. All the persons who took part in the program, thank you. Thank you very much.
We call on Binaldo. Binaldo Fett. Still here? Oh, here he comes. Here comes Binaldo Fett, who is going to do the benediction. And I think, as you come, give yourself a big round of applause for the audience that you've been. And an applause to N.A.P.S for staging a wonderful event. And congratulations to all the honorees. Proud of you.
As the world looks upon us as we travel along. They say we have nothing, but they are so wrong. In our heart we rejoicing, and I wish they could see. Thank you, Lord, for your blessing. I know we are not worthy of the blessings you give. I always be thankful and praise your holy name, and to us that all we can offer for your kindness to me. Thank you, Lord, for your blessing on me. Now you could stand. Oh, Heavenly Father, we give you thanks and praise for this special occasion, Lord, that you've been with us through this time, up to now. Lord, we thank you for each and every one that being here, the honorees. Lord, be with them in a special way. Lord, continue to be in their heart, that they will know that you is God. Bless us as we go to our different homes. Prepare the way, Lord. You know everything about each and every one of us. And be with us, and as thy will be done, you wake us in a little while. God bless us and keep us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you.